Okay, so I'm going to draw something. I don't know if it's different from anything else that anyone else has ever drawn, probably before in the past, but it's going to be, I don't know. I mean, just my spin on it, because I'm guessing it's probably something that someone else has already drawn before. So, I'm going to start off here, and right here I'm going to just start off kind of lightly making a little leaf here because it's autumn themed. And so I'm just going to do kind of a little leaf shape like this. And so as I get going, it'll make a little bit more sense what I'm doing here. So it's not going to be just leaves, but I want a few leaves placed here sporadically, which is why I'm drawing the leaves right now. Just a few leaves. Not a whole lot, but just a few. Just to get the shape of a leaf in here like this. And then we'll have another one here like this. Okay, so I think that's enough. So I'm going to create myself a little center point that I'm going to start from here. And so I'm going to kind of draw a line like this, and then a little line here like this. Just little random lines. So this line, I'm thinking about leaving some room maybe for some color, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'm not sure yet if I want to add color, but I think I might. I think what I might do is add some color. And so I'm going to see if this works though, because, well, actually it probably is. I just thought of what I'm going to do. Because I am mixing my pencil, I'm going to mix it with this. Okay. Okay, there. So we've kind of got, it almost looks like a Morse code design of sorts, from back in the day. Okay, so let me do this one. Let's do this. It's kind of like the Minecraft looking little creatures and things that we see all over the place. The little digital, the pixels that we see, the little pixels and the dashes and the dots. And okay, so I'm making mine into a little burst here. It's a series of little bursting lines and dots, and then other lines like this. We can make our lines however we want to. And so I wanted to add a little fall spin to it here. And so that's what I'm working on. Just something simple. Something I just thought about this morning. I thought, well, let's do the burst. Because a lot of times cameras, when you take pictures, they always highlighted that they have a picture burst, a flash burst. Well, it's true. When you use a flash, there is a burst with the flash. And I always thought, I mean, my goodness, one of my, it's, I want to say it's a favorite memory. At the same time, it's a not so favorite memory of when my grandparents were taking pictures. Now they had a moving camera. My parents had one, but they didn't use it that much. And so I think once we got past, maybe it broke, I'm not sure. But for several years, they had a moving camera. And they took some pictures when my brother was a baby and some pictures of us around holidays and things like that. Eventually, they just stopped using it, you know. So I don't know what happened there, unless it just stopped, quit working, maybe, or I don't know. They never took it on vacation with them. Now, Grandma had a moving camera, and then Grandpa had made a little light bar to go on top of the moving camera. And so the light bar was really, really hot. And that was one of the things I didn't like about the light bar. It was really, really, really hot. And so Grandpa made a homemade light bar. And, you know, so I just remember all the heat coming out from the lights because he used lights that, where did he buy them from? I'm trying to think about, he bought them from, it would have been, I guess, a home improvement store, whatever they had back then. What did we have back then? Just an old hardware store. They were just called hardware stores back then. They weren't called home improvement. They were just called hardware stores. You know what else I was thinking about too? I just had a thought here. You guys remember the old-fashioned cameras that they used that burst? The old, I call them, they burst. Because they did break bulbs too. The old-fashioned cameras that they depicted from back in the day, and the photographer had a box, and so he would put a light on top, and then they light some, or maybe that was just how they depicted it, and so then usually the bulb burn out after every flash. That's what I was thinking, and they had some kind of weird thing. It was almost like the bulb broke on purpose. You know, so maybe it was a joke. It very well could have been a joke, possibly. I'm not sure. I have no idea now that I think about it. Okay, so I'm going to just work on my little leaves here because they're going to become a part of, they're going to become a part of a void. I'm not going to fill the leaves in. Maybe I will with color, but they're going to become a color void more than anything. And so this one I did with lines. Let's see here. Let me work this one kind of like this, and then I'll go up this direction like that. I'm going to make these maybe a little bit longer. They might be a little bit thicker maybe. But I'm using a fine tip marker. Just like that. And it wouldn't hurt if we put a dot in every now and again. We could put in a couple of little dots like that. And then, okay, I'm filling those in like that. And then I'm going around like this. Filling it in like that. Around. And so we're just making a little bit of a something here. Little square right there. Still has the look of a leaf. And oh, I like this one almost a little bit better than let me add a companion here right there to that one. We're adding a little companion. Yeah, that works. We needed to, now we might need, let's add a little companion out here like that. Okay. Yeah, that works. It still looks like a leaf, and that's what we need, is for it to look like a leaf. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly burst out from the center here. I'm just going to draw kind of a little line here like this, just to kind of have an idea what I'm working with. And so these are really, really tiny, what I'm working with right here. The I'm not doing them perfectly even. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That design is pretty cool. Okay, so let's get going back in this direction. We got kind of a stair step thing going on here. So I'm just using the line as something so I have an idea where I am going. So what I'm going to do, actually, I am going to start, okay, how would I, okay, let me do this. Let me start out right here. Should we take it out? Yeah, let's start right here. Taking it out in this direction and just kind of zigzagging it around a little bit here. I think that kind of creates a fun little element here with our design. Would you rather, okay, so God is here. It says, would you rather go retarded or get fingered by your grandpa, but you get a waffle cone afterwards? Um, that's gross. Okay, so you exercised your First Amendment right there to say that today. Um, did you feel a need to say that? I mean, well, actually, they're raising a great point, though. So when someone writes something like that, they always raise a great point. And so God says, would you rather go retarded or get fingered by your grandpa, but you get a waffle cone afterwards? And so I believe what they are referencing is things that are very challenging, that people have a hard time talking about on the internet. And see what happens when we go down that path. Okay, so we're going to change the subject and we're just not going to talk about things that are important now, are we? Okay, so let's go up this direction like that. Okay, so we're working on you know, I think it would be great to talk about these things, but it's hard. Well, actually, you know, in general, people have a hard time talking about hard topics because of the fact that they don't know how to address it, and it just makes them feel very uncomfortable. And then, not only that, on top of that, then with hard topics, then they always question, well, gosh, if I talk about this in front of kids, then what kind of pushback and flack am I going to get from their parents? Maybe that's why the military has a thing they call the flak jacket, you know, because the flak jacket, and then, well, wasn't there a woman named Roberta Flack who sang? And the military had the flak jacket. And then you get a bunch of, I always use the word flack. You get a bunch of flack because of the fact that the word flack, I always used it in the sense of it being something that is, I mean, kind of a more subtle alternative to violence. You know, so the word flack is like verbal. Um, it's kind of like a verbal type of a, you know, Oh, goodness, I was going to try to make these into like that. I guess the word I'm looking for was verbal, a verbal disagreement, flack, a verbal disagreement. And so, okay, I'm wondering though, so if I do this, I'm wondering if I'm losing too much of the leaf shape by doing it this way. I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it'll stay in there. We'll probably end up with, it'll be like a little bit of cubism and abstract. Oh, they're, surreal type imagery. Yeah, it's still there a little bit. I kind of like that. And then if we wanted to, we could put little dots out here like this. Little dots. Little tiny dots out here like this. And actually, if I had to answer that question, I would say neither. Because I don't know the context of what they're talking about. They just asked a question. They didn't actually provide any context of what they're referencing. So, I don't know. Maybe someone is just angry about something or having a bad day. I'm just quite not sure what the context is of the question that they asked there when they asked that question. But I am going to leave it up because I always feel like there's learning things that can come from this. Maybe they have something going on with their grandpa right now. I mean, it sounds like they might need to call the police or something. If they have that going on with their grandpa, I would think they would call the police. And, that's the thing I question related to these people who keep talking about things that a president has done to his granddaughter. It's like, well, is there police reports? Did you call the police? I mean, can you guys come up with the police reports to tell us about what Joe Biden did to his granddaughter in the shower? That they're making this stuff up is what they're doing. And so they were saying that about Joe Biden. He did there. I don't know. They've been saying that he showered with his granddaughter, and it's like, okay, if that's true, how did he get to be president? And not only that, is there police reports? Because I'm thinking when you have a president, you're going to be able to get the police reports for the president. And why did we end up with a president who did that with his granddaughter? I mean, I think they're talking about Ashley Biden or something. And right now I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking is like, he's not running for president anymore. He's a sickly elderly man. Just leave him alone. Leave the man alone. He's a sickly elderly man who has some problems going on that took place while he was president. And so he was healthy enough to become president, but apparently the onset of his fading came on, I guess, pretty fast. I mean, it's my understanding he's still living and in his retirement, I guess, so I mean, I don't know the man personally, but all I know is what people were saying on the internet, and it's like, for crying out loud, he's an elderly man. Leave him alone. Now, the other elderly man there, he's a jerk. The other elderly man. And I'm just tired of him altogether. But I will make jokes about certain things, and from time to time. I kind of like that. You know, it almost looks like a creature. Oh my goodness, we've got a creature going on. I see a new creature going on here. I do. Yes, absolutely I do. We've got the start of a leg right here and a leg. Oh, a leg right here, a leg right here. You know what? When I say that, a leg right here and a leg right here, a leg right here and a leg right here, I think of that drug Allegra. Why do I think of that? A leg right here, Allegri, Allegri, So the drug companies are trolling. The drug companies, and I have something else I want to talk about too. I'm going to draw while I'm talking about it. Now, the thing I've said about all these charitable profit and nonprofit groups is the thing I've said is that they do not want to cure anything. So they're fundraising for money so they can do advertising, because advertising is expensive. Now, maybe along the way, some people have benefited a lot, possibly. I think I might just do a zigzag on this one. I'm just going to do a zigzag like this on this leaf. And so anyway, now if they cured cancer, then there would be absolutely no reason to do cancer research. Now think about the power of that, of what I just said. Cancer research, that's all it is. Cancer research. The Susan G. Komen Cancer Research Foundation, they're raising money for cancer research. Now, if you cure it, then there's no reason for cancer to be around anymore. So they're fundraising money to advertise cancer. They can't create a job from it if everybody's cured. Now, can they? Now, there's a lot of things like that. You know, muscular dystrophy, I think they just gave up on that finally because they couldn't get anybody, you know, because muscular dystrophy became a thing of where they had to provide all these leg braces. You know, same thing with polio and all these other, you know, things that go along with all this fundraising. You know, I don't know that it's necessarily that people saw the scam in it. Maybe some did, maybe some didn't. I don't know. But it just had me thinking about, if they truly wanted to cure these things, they can't. Because how is people on TV fundraising for something, or out in real life fundraising for something, actually going to cure something in the medical institutions when they're fundraising for money? You don't know if it's a scam person that's fundraising for the money, or if it's what it is. But it's not gonna help any students. It's not gonna help nurses get a job. It's not gonna help them get an education. It's gonna go into someone else's pocket. Very well could be a rich person. So the thing I have to say about this fundraising thing, you know, the same thing with the pills for cancer. Well, they have medical pill research. Well, why do we have all this research? I mean, because the government gives them money. I'm not sure what website I would go to look for the grant money that's initiated out for cancer research and pill research. Maybe it's, I'm not sure. I know we have government grants.gov or whatever that is, but the ones that actually, where the money is actually given out, that they distributed the money, that's what I want to see. You know, and you're going to see a lot of that. It's simply research. So when it's medical research, it's students and people looking at the same things over and over again. That doesn't mean the disease actually exists. So what would you, it's kind of like in math, when you have unknown variables. Same thing with diseases. They're unknown diseases. So you call it something. You have to call it something. or what would you call it? You'd call it disease A or disease B or something, I mean, so you have to have a name for the disease. But yet now people have taken and ran with that and created frauds with it. I mean, how long before you guys are, if it's, maybe it's already happened, I don't know, where we're going to get all the scam phone calls from foreign islands and people raising for cancer research from foreigners. I mean, this thing goes down such a horrific rabbit hole related to the fraud. And a lot of the fraud is straight out of the United States, straight out of Hollywood. Think about this. This is what I think about. How did Hollywood solve the farm crisis? Farm aid that they had, was it back in the 1980s? But they sang for farm aid. I remember that being on TV. There was a whole bunch of celebrities because they were singing about fundraising for water for the farmers or something like that. I'm not sure if it was equipment or what it was, but typically then what they do is they got money that way, and they were able to make documentaries and docuseries and whatever name they changed to. It's just like the Thorne, the Ashton Kutcher Foundation, right before he got resigned and stepped down from his nonprofit organization. He made a movie about drug smugglers and traffickers bringing little boys into the United States from Mexico. So he got paid for that. Gosh, my goodness, what's his face? Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, got $20 million from Congress, free money from Congress to make his Mr. Rogers show. Well, now he did that by himself. Now, why can't I get money from Congress for me to do this and get paid from Congress to do this, and then I can focus on artwork, just artwork only, artwork, things that are positive for people, instead of having to deal with, and then I just completely ignore everything else. I completely ignore politics and I just focus on artwork. I don't make any dumb toilet content. However, I think actually the toilet content seems to be, a few people like it from time to time. The shorts, the brain rot stuff, it seems like people really like that stuff. So, it's popular. They like it. Okay, did I get a face in here? Okay, look, we do have, oh my goodness, we do have a new creature here. I was going to make this and burst it out with more lines, but now I'm not sure that I'm going to do that. Well, I might use a few more lines, but not coming out from the center here. I am going to enhance maybe the center a little bit like this. I'm going to do that, kind of make like a tiny little body right there. And so what I'm going to do up here is, I think I'm going to do some lines like this. Just some little, I'm not sure what we're doing right here, but it just looks kind of cool though. Let's put these in here. And then maybe I'll do some zigzags like this. And then some more zigzags like this. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. It really kind of took on a life its own. So my intentions when I started out was filling this whole thing up with lines. But now I've changed my mind. I kind of wish this was a little bit larger. I'm wondering though, what could I do? Unless I put some zigzags or circles around to make it larger, or it could just have a tiny head. I think I do want to add one more line right here though. I might do something like this. And then I'm going to kind of add something like that. Yeah, that'll work. And then this, we're going to add that right there. And then I'm going to add some of these like that. And then okay, that makes it stand out a little bit better like that. I'm thinking, should I put eyeballs on it? I'm not sure. I don't know if I should put eyeballs on it or not. But I like that a lot. Okay, I'm wondering, do I need to put maybe I should do just a tiny bit and make it look like a foot. Let's do a little bend right here. Yeah, we'll do a little bend right there like that. And so it's got more of a foot shape going on here. There. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And okay, so now I'm thinking here, let's add just a tiny bit, to depict some little electrical lines here. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, I like that too. That turned out sort of cool like that. Okay, so let's do a few little dots right here like this. Yeah, this would be a good antenna feeler. So, some of my drawings, when I like to save them, and I do realize, like I watched the movie last night. There was a movie on, I don't know where it was at. It was on one of those old-fashioned TV stations. And there was a guy, he was it wasn't a meltdown, it was just that he was saying things kind of similar to what I'd said before. And he was saying, well, you got to think about it. He says, if the world expands in little tiny bits and pieces and then eventually it collapses on itself with the Big Bang Theory, he says, all the artwork you guys make is just going to end up into smithereens. This is what he was telling everyone. And I'd often thought the same thing too, because well, we'd had this influencing thing on TV for quite some time. And people were talking about Van Gogh and all these famous artists and everything, and these people who have drawings that are like millions and millions of dollars. And, my brain just, gosh, but even back in 2010, I wasn't thinking about the earth just completely being destroyed and collapsing back into smithereens. But apparently somebody thought that was important to repeat it over and over again, that we should know about that and think about it that way. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's the same principle as when we throw things away. Like when I make a drawing and then I throw it away, it gets smashed into smithereens, doesn't it? It does, in the same way. So You know, and so all of us are doing art, and somebody just wanted to rain on our little party, on our little parade, that we're making some art and stuff, and tell us that our art is worthless. It's like, we're not doing anything, we're just drawing. You know, what happens, you know, we know that our art, someone else will either own it or just throw it away. But can't we just have fun making art without being told of what's going to happen to our artwork in a billion years from now? That the sun's going to come in and just collapse up the whole planet Earth. I don't know how this man knows that that's what's going to happen, but it's just a theory. It's not something that's actually um, real. And so, okay, so what am I going to... I feel like I want to add a little bit more here, like maybe an upside down smile, like there's another little creature or something right here. Could be more legs, yeah. Okay, yeah, let's flip it up. Oh no! I just made an ambigram. I made an ambigram. Look what we did. I just thought of that. I thought, let's flip it upside down. Oh, I'm seeing something right here though that I forgot to do over here. Okay, so I've got a creature on both sides. I made like an ambigram creature is what I did. I'm so excited. I made an ambigram creature here. Okay, so do you see this? We've got eyes, eyes, arm, legs. You see? Look at that. And now I flip it around this direction, and we've got the head here, arms, legs. You guys see that? Uh, remote jobs. I have yet to find a remote job. Okay, so what does this say? All these people getting divorced just months after they get married. Well, that is so strange. I have heard of that before. The actors, it just says an actor filed for divorce from his wife of less than a year. All right, well, that's not really important to me. It's not something I'm really interested in. Okay, but, well, let's see what we've got maybe. Oh, look, I can make a creature. No, I have like a star here. 5 different points of... I do. I have 5 different ways I can make a creature here. Well, this turned out better than I hoped. I always love it when something turns out better than I hope. I have something in mind, and it turns out better than what I thought. So... This is a good direction too. Oh my goodness. So we can take this one, the pixel burst, in many, many different directions here and have fun with it, and even add color too. I might have to make another one. I kind of do want to add color, but maybe I'll save that for another drawing. And so I think I'm going to end it right here, and maybe we'll make another one of these later. I'll try and think of another item to use for the robotic body parts. I mean, this turned out really good. I can see a lot with this from photo to video. I can see a lot of potential with this. Just this one little drawing. I mean, we have a full-on ambigram here. And so, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch up with you the next time, maybe a little bit later today, just depending on what I can think of. So, we'll see you guys later.